Hello guys, welcome to another video of this channel. In today's video we will follow 100 days of evolution of a population with artificial intelligence in this computer simulation. In this simulation, this virtual creature you are seeing will have to get food, reproduce, compete for food, mutate and evolve. And at the end of it all, we'll see how the population that survived all the difficulties of this virtual environment will be like. If this is the first video of this channel you're watching, you probably don't understand anything that's happening in front of your eyes, and that's why before going straight to the first days of this simulation, I'm going to explain how all this will work here. I'm going to tell you what these things are that you're seeing and the rules that will be followed in this simulation. And I really guarantee that, after I explain everything, half of you still won't understand. The first thing you have to know is that in this simulation, I created a virtual creature which is this very nice slime you are seeing, and I created him to live in this green garden, which is a virtual environment where he will go through several difficulties to try to survive. The thing is, this slime was programmed to do the following. He can move in any direction, at any time, and he decides where he will move. Simple, right? Sometimes it can give a little problems, and it gets a little buggy, but I can help them manually. I've determined that the time inside the simulation is different from our real life time. Otherwise, I would have to leave my computer on for 100 days. And for electric bill reasons, I don't want to do that. So I decided that 1 day of simulation would be equivalent to 360 seconds, which is 6 minutes of our real life. To keep track of this, I added a timer and a day counter to make it easier. But of course, I couldn't leave them there without a purpose in life, right? Poor people. And that's when I added the first condition for these slimes to survive here. The first difficulty of their lives, which is hungry. I decided to add a food to these slimes, which is the apple, the one you are seeing now. To eat an apple, the slime only has to touch it, and that counts as if he had eaten. And now I had to deal with a slime that didn't eat any apples for a while, and make it die from starvation, so I did the following. Remember that I said that 1 day of this simulation lasted 360 seconds? Right, so I decided that a slime that spent 1 full day of this simulation, without eating at least 1 apple, would starve to death. And to make their lives even more difficult, I decided that these apples will be created inside the virtual garden, only at the beginning of each day. So every morning, when the day turns into the simulation, apples grow for them to eat. But there's one more thing. What if a slime ate 2 apples, or 3, or 4, or 12? And that's when I added one more thing to our simulation, which is reproduction. If a slime eats 2 apples or more before the end of the day, it will reproduce the next day, which means, it will create an identical copy of itself when it dawns within the simulation. This will make the number of slimes increase a lot, making this population bigger. But, if you are attentive, you must have already thought, there will come a time when there will not be enough food for everyone. And that's exactly what I want to happen. To start giving numbers to you guys, I'm going to tell you that this simulation will always start with 10 slimes and 20 apples, so at the beginning there will always be food left over, until a time comes when they will have to compete to take food. Speaking of competition, it was at this time that I decided to add another feature to the simulation, which is the coolest in my opinion, which was a way to make these slimes different from each other, so that some could be more competitive and more evolved than the others, and thus they will be able to catch the apples much faster and much easier. That's when I added the last feature, which are mutations. Now listen carefully, because the mutations were very difficult to add in the simulation, because they are very varied. But I'll sum it up for you. First of all, remember that if a slime eats 2 apples or more, it will reproduce the next day, right? That's where the mutations come in. When a slime is going to reproduce, creating a copy of itself, this copy will be able to be born with some differences in size and speed. Let's talk about speed first. When a new slime is spawned, it can be up to 3 times faster than normal, or up to 3 times slower. To represent this, I decided to change the color of the slimes. I used the light spectrum as a reference. The closer to red, the faster the slime. The closer to the violet spectrum, the slower it is. There's also the size mutation. In terms of size, I followed the same reasoning. A slime can spawn up to 3 times bigger, and up to 3 times smaller than normal. Added these mutations, what should happen from there? Can you get an idea? If you are a biology lover, you must already be thinking about her, the deer, the beautiful, natural selection. Or virtual selection in this case. The thing is, when the slimes with the mutations are born, some of them will have advantages over others, and they will be more competitive, and be able to get more food to survive. In the midst of all this mess, I noticed that there was a problem with the mutations, which I hadn't thought about before adding everything, and it was very complex to solve, and took a long time. I don't know if you guys notice, but that's no benefits for being smaller and slower. Being bigger and faster makes you much more competitive, and rises the chances to get an apple. And I had to think about a solution for this, so the winner population wouldn't be always the bigger and faster slimes. And after a lot of thinking, I came up with a rather simple solution, which was to add the energy feature. The slimes have a total of 100 energy, and throughout the day, as they walk around the garden, they spend this energy, and when it reaches 0, they can't walk until the end of the day, and they won't be able to get food. So, I've determined that when a slime is bigger than normal, it will spend more energy to walk, and that will cause it to go to 0 energy before the day is over. and when that happens, it will stop moving. So in the end he has less time to get the apples and survive for the next day. On the other hand, slimes that are smaller spend less energy to move, so they can move practically all day in search of food, because their energy takes longer to reach zero. And 3,000 years later, it's time to start our first simulation. So let's stop talking and let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first day of simulation. We can already see that the slimes are surviving in our wonderful environment. There's already a lot going on here, and there's a lot of friends for us to meet. This slime is trying to get an apple, and it's frustrating in the quest. There are some things I've added here that I haven't shown you yet, but I'll explain as the video progresses. We are running with a population of 10 slimes and 20 apples. I put a population counter and an apple counter up here. We can see that there are now only 7 apples, and we're still 45 seconds into day 0. They've practically run out of food halfway through the day. What a sweet tooth. You probably already have some slimes that have fed, and it is likely that all of them will survive, and we will probably see the population increase too, because there was a lot of food. Look, this guy, he just up to 3 apples. It will reproduce the next day. He was so happy that he even climbed the tree. It will reproduce the next day, and we will see the appearance of mutations in these slimes from day 1 onwards. There's one more thing I haven't shown you yet. 3, 2, 1. Here it goes. A status bar that shows all those characteristics I told you about, the energy, speed and size of each slime. If I click on this guy, we can see that his energy, speed and size appeared. Speed 0 and size 0. And you can also see that it has a red circle around it. This circle is just to identify which slime I'm currently selecting. Now, we can walk through this scenario. I can move the camera, but I cannot influence these creatures in any way. The only thing I can do is grab a slime, and I can move him here, or here, or here, or here, or here. I can also throw it on an apple, but I'm not going to do that, so I don't mess up with the final result of the simulation. There is also another visualization mode. Let me show you. Now we can see all the information up there. So now let's speed up this simulation a little bit. It's giving me agony that no slime is taking this leftover apple. I think I'm going to hit someone over there. Let me give you a little help. Go there, my son. Congratulations. Okay, from now on I'm not going to help anyone else here. Let's speed it up a little bit to get to the next day, and we'll see the mutations show up. 1, 2, 3, here they are. I'm already seeing several mutations and several different comrades. Look at this giant yellow slime, passion fruit slime. He is very big and seems to be very fast. I will click on him to see the status. I'm seeing here that it is speed 2 and size 2. Remembering that it can go from -3 to 3. I've also noticed that this slime is using a lot of energy. We are still 40 seconds into the simulation, and this slime is already low on energy. He'll probably stop moving in no time. I see another mutation, this pink slime. It has speed -3, which is the lowest possible speed, and size 1. You can see that he's managing to conserve a lot of energy at this very slow speed, so he's probably going to be walking around here all day looking for food, because he still has a lot of energy. Let's see another mutation. Look at this purple slime. It is also saving a lot of energy. Look at this communist slime here. This red slime is at -5 energy. He has maximum speed, but his size is normal. I'm going to speed up the simulation again, and I'm going to let a few days pass for us to see the new mutations emerge. We arrived on day 7 of simulation. There are already some slime groups forming here. I'm already seeing 2 main groups dominating the environment. These giant pink slimes at -3 speed and size 2. They're pretty big and pretty slow. There is also the group of these very small and very fast slimes. Interesting to see that the 2 extremes are dominating the piece. Let's continue speeding up the simulation. If you are enjoying the video, click the like button, and also subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. 16th day of simulation. Several things happened here. Those 2 groups of slimes that were dominating the environment went extinct. The population that is dominating the environment now is one of those green slimes. It's probably a Brazilian slime. There's also this giant purple slime, with size 2 and speed -2. They are also vying for domination of the environment. Let's speed it up. Day 36 of simulation. The population that dominated the environment was the giant purple slimes, with size 2 and speed -2. Apparently this is the most competitive combination of this. I'll let her run until the 100th, just out of curiosity, so we can see the final result. And the end result was this. Total population reached 10. And these giant purple slimes dominate the environment, which makes them the winners of our first artificial intelligence computer simulation. Thanks for watching, see you soon.